Hello everyone, welcome back to our My 2020 tutorial series on modeling this character here. Alright, so we set up our reference images last lesson. Now we're going to go ahead and dive into modeling. So usually where I like to start with modeling is just getting the body set up. And to do so, I usually use a cylinder. Now some things I do want to point out is that our guy here has a lot of accessories on him. And some things I tend to look past and not say I'm going to model right away. But so some things I'm going to look over is like this part here. That's not going to be modeled. His whole belt accessories will all be added on afterwards. Some of like the things like his belt buckles here on his overalls, those will be add-ons. His helmet will be add-ons. His goggles will be add-ons. His knee pads will even be add-ons. So keep in mind that I'm going to be kind of looking through a lot of what he has going on for his accessories and then just kind of adding those in afterwards. So the first pass will be the underlying geometry that'll make up his body per se, and then the second pass will be the accessories that will go on top of it, and we'll skin those together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drop a cylinder into our scene to get started here. Okay, and I like to usually add some subdivisions along the height of it. Let's go ahead to where it says inputs over here. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can go ahead and double click on this guy here beforehand and pick height subdivisions, or you can always go into the inputs. Now if you're going this route, make sure that you don't do any operations and then go into this. Otherwise the way that it changes the base shape to add those divisions in is a little bit unpredictable. So underneath subdivisions height, we're going to go ahead and add in 5 subdivisions. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and switch to our side view. Okay, so we'll just click on our 4 panel here, and we'll press spacebar in this window and make it go full view. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and bring this up. And the area that I'm going to focus on to begin with is going to be this area where up to his neckline and then all the way down to his crotch, actually. So I'm not going to do his legs, I'm not going to do his arms. I'm going to do a little bit on his hips, and then his body, his arms, legs, and heads, those will all be done separately. Okay, so something else I want to do is I want to make it to where I can see through this. Now if I go ahead and trigger X-ray, it'll make it toward the paper in the background, or the reference image in the background also is X-rated. So you can see through both of them. This is actually a good way to go, but if you want to actually control how much transparency you have, you can do it through the Lambert. So rather than going with X-ray, I can then instead go to the attribute editor and go to the transparency attribute and just ramp up the transparency a little bit so that I can see through it. That way it doesn't actually make the reference image transparent as well. So I think that that's the way I'm going to go. Okay. I'm going to go over here and make sure our naming's done as well. So we're going to call this mesh body. Okay, that's good. Next, I'm going to scale up the entire piece of geometry so that loosely this actually should fit the body to some extent. So something about like that as far as the volume goes, not the actual matching up of any of the curvature of it at all. Okay, so that's good. All right, so some things I do know after just doing experience with this type of modeling is that it's best to have, like, you see how his collar here is, like, this is actually a good line to match because you want there to be this kind of curve at the edge flow. So I'm going to scale this particular one down, and I'm going to rotate it to where it matches with his neckline. So something about like that's probably good. And I'm going to scale this one down as well, and I'll just push this one back. Okay, same thing with this one, and this one I'm not going to actually tilt at all because I want the body to kind of get this curve where it's going this way, starts out tilted, flattens out for the chest, and then I'm going to have it actually reverse, go back the other way eventually. So we're going to go over here. And it's not going to go to this extreme reversed, but I do want it to where it tilts back just a little bit. It then kind of adopts that kind of posture where your back kind of curves in, just makes more visual sense. And we'll do this last one here. And I'm not trying to get it to go down into the crotch right now. And the reason why is because we're going to create what's called a crotch strap. That's going to take care of that portion of it, and we'll use the legs to get to the sides. So that's probably actually, let's have it go up to his belt buckle actually right there. That's probably good for now. There we go. So that captures it pretty well for this view. Might need a little bit more geometry right in here. I'm going to drop one extra edge loop in there. And I noticed that right now, since I just started my 2020, it doesn't have some of the tools I like to use. So I'm going to go to Mesh Tools and go to Insert Edge Loop. I'm going to add this one to my shelf. So I'm just going to hold Control-Shift, left mouse button. If you're on a Mac, it's Command-Shift, left mouse button, and that will add the tool to your shelf. And then I can go ahead and middle mouse button drag this over to my other tools. And since I use this one a lot, I can just drop it in right there. There we go. So now I can go ahead and drop in an extra edge loop right here. So that's good. I'll hit R for scale and scale that one in a little bit. There we go. That looks good. So now it looks okay from the side, but I know that we got a lot of work to do still from the front and just some simple refinement to get the shape we are after. So let's go ahead and jump over to the side or the front view here. And I automatically see there's a problem. And the problem is that my reference image actually isn't on the line of symmetry. You can see how this line of symmetry is not matched with this line of symmetry. That's a problem. Something we can fix relatively easily though. We're going to go to our channel box and we're going to turn off our reference layer, or not our reference layer, but our reference mode in our reference layer. And we're going to go to object mode. We're going to click this one here. And I'm going to move it to where this black line is lined up with our line of symmetry. So right in there, that's probably good. And then I'll turn it back on a reference. So click this one twice. I'm also going to freeze the transforms while I have it selected. That way now it knows this is zeroed out. So that's pretty good. All right, this might end up moving a little bit as we go up to the face because I can see that the nose is right here and this isn't actually on the line of symmetry. At least not enough to where we can symmetrically model the face. But that's something we'll deal with a lot later. Okay. Moving forward here. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom actually. We're going to go to vertex mode. I'm just going to select these vertexes right here, and actually these ones aren't too far off. We can go ahead and adjust just a little bit. I'll select these ones and I'm going to scale them together in the x-axis only. If you're using the other axis, if you're using this teal one in the center, it can actually grab all three axes, so beware of that. You don't want to accidentally move it if you weren't intending to move it. Because then when you go to the other view, you'll know there'll be some changes that you didn't intend to make. Okay, so probably right there. Right now I'm trying to match it up with his coveralls. This part here where it's going to come out, I'm going to adjust for that a little bit later on. Okay, this one here, same thing. I'm just going to scale this into about right there. And this one here, we'll scale out in the x-axis a little bit. And this one here, we'll scale in so it matches up with the neckline. There we go. That should be pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and see what it looks like in our perspective view. Okay, looks like a lump, not much to currently look at, but that's okay. What I'm going to do next is actually create that crotch strap that I was telling you about. That way when we get our legs, we'll have something to connect it up to. So we're going to go to our face mode. So I'm holding down right mouse button, go to face component type, and we're just going to get rid of these faces on the bottom. So there we go. And we're going to go to edge mode, and we're going to select these two edges. And we're going to bridge these together. So we're going to run our bridge tool. That's this icon right here. And this is actually one where you kind of want to count before you get going on this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is currently 9. So if we want this to be even, you probably want a total of 16 edges going all the way around, right? So that means maybe we need 7 divisions. Let's recount over here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's good. That means that we have 16 edges. That means we know that when we create the cylinder that's going to be our legs, we know that we need to create a cylinder that has a division of 16. Okay, so that's good. Now we want to go ahead and bring this down a little bit to match with the crotch, but we also, we're going to use our face component type, and we're going to want to turn on soft select. That way we can bring them down smoothly together and hopefully capture some curvature as we're going. So we'll press B for soft select, and right now this is way too intense. I'm influencing way too much of my model. So yellow is the most influenced, then it goes to red, and then it fails off to like dark brown, and then it goes back to blue. So if I hold down B and then left mouse button and drag, you'll get this brush that will pop, or this circle really, and this is, the B stands for brush, and then you can say your brush size is relatively small. Let's say about right in here, maybe a little bit bigger. We don't really want to affect the size too much, but there we go. So something like that. Let's go ahead and check our front view and make sure that our front view is appropriate. So something about in here, and I'll hit R for scale so I can scale them together a little bit as well. So something like that's okay. Let's go ahead and go back to our perspective and see what we got. Okay. Let's go to our side view as well and see how that looks. Okay, looks like from our side view this is going to actually have to come out quite a bit this way. So let's go ahead and just start that process. We'll select these vertexes here, hit W, and we're just going to move them to where they come out this way a little bit more as well. Okay, let's just turn off soft select for now. We'll just manually pull these guys out. Just spread them out. That way when it comes to sewing the leg on, that it'll be an easier process because all the geometry will be evenly spread out. Okay, we'll move this one forward a little bit more. Same thing with this one. There we go. All right, so that's looking pretty good. It's a good starting spot. I'm gonna go ahead and save here. Currently at 13 minutes. I'm gonna try to keep these videos at about 15 minutes. The first one ran to 20, but I want to keep them a little bit smaller than 15 if I can. So we're gonna end it here for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.